Welcome. We're going live on the Insight Timer app right now. I welcome you to join us there. Welcome. Oh, so nice to see you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hi, Britt. I love your new picture. Hi, Brad. Oh, it's so nice to be together. Hi, Jessica. Yeah, I can feel the energy and it is beautiful. We'll wait a few moments before we begin. Of course, if you are not watching on Insight Timer, I invite you to join us on Insight Timer to be part of the live interactive experience. Ah, all right, maybe we'll get started with just some of the intro. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hi, Maxine. Yes, friends, please feel free to say hello. Let us all be in presence together. Hi, Rosita. How's our sound, my friends? Can you hear me clearly? Okay, awesome. Hi, Kate. Great. All right. Well, a very warm welcome, everyone. My name is Selena, for anyone that I'm getting to meet for the first time today. This is our weekly session where we get to be together in community and be here just as we are, with whatever we're feeling, with whatever challenges are present, to be able to be here with all of it. I have many recordings here on the app. If you'd like to dive into uh, a variety of different topics, and I also have two courses: yogic practices for a peaceful life, and another one called Awaken My Heart, a guide to living with self-love. Hi, Anupama. Welcome. Hi, Davy. Hi, Rika. Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Hi, Marcy. Great. Hi, Rachel. Yeah, please, friends, say hi. It's so wonderful to get to hear from you. Kate is sharing, so grateful to be here with you and this community. Likewise. Oh, thanks for asking, Marcy. Marcy's asking, how are you? And it's been a bit of a challenging time internally. My life is so blessed. And inside, there's been some rockiness. And of course, we're connected to everything happening in the world as well. So it's all connected. Thank you for asking. Reminds me though, let's start with some centering because I could use it today. And maybe some of you can as well. So we're going to move into, we often do this ancient yogic technique to help us center by bringing the hands vertically. And today we're going to use, let's see, I kind of have enough space here. We're going to use a different movement that many of you may be familiar with just from your yoga asana classes, from Surya Namaskar. So for this, we start with the hands at the heart, and then we inhale to bring the hands down, around, all the way up where the palms touch if possible. And then we exhale really slowly to come back to the heart. And we're really using that long, slow exhalation to help to regulate the nervous system, activate the vagus nerve, which in turn activates that rest and digest response in the nervous system. Okay. So let us move into 3 rounds of this. And of course, if you can't move your body, you can always just visualize this and work with your breath. So let's take a full breath in and out. If you're in a chair or someplace where you're elevated, Have your feet flat on the floor or tucked underneath you, whichever you prefer. Let's start by feeling the feet. Feel the support beneath you. Take a full breath in and out. And then we'll inhale together to reach the hands down, around, all the way up. Maybe the palms touch if that's possible. And then exhale really slowly to come back to the heart. And then we inhale down, out to the sides, all the way up. Relax the shoulders. Exhale really slowly. One more time. Inhale down, around, all the way up. Exhale slowly. Close the eyes if you wish. Palms touch at the heart. Relax the shoulders back and down. Just breathe here consciously together for these next few moments. Mm. Relax the hands down in the lap or in any way that feels restful. Let's have the eyes closed if you've opened them. And of course, if it's uncomfortable to have the eyes closed, you can just have the gaze looking down. Continue to rest your awareness on the sensations of the body breathing, the breath flowing in and out. Allow a slight part between the lips, a space between the teeth. And you may wish to gently touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of the mouth just behind the upper teeth. If the breathing is shallow, you might explore deepening the breath, slowing it down. Allow the chin to be just slightly tucked so the energy can move freely up and down the spine. You feel the breath flowing in and you feel the breath flowing out. If you're able to breathe through your nose, I invite you to have the breath in and out of the nose. And of course, if that's not possible, no issue if you're breathing through the mouth. It's very natural and common for our minds to be filled with thoughts when we start to slow down, when we become still or more quiet. And this is a natural process for many of us as we move into silence, inner silence. So, right now, just allow whatever you're experiencing to be here. It could be thoughts about the past and the future, and lists and planning. It could be emotions or physical sensations that are reaching for your attention. For these next few moments, give your full attention to anything that is asking for it, rather than trying to notice a thought and let it go, or Breathe through a feeling, sit with it fully. Let your mind fully dive into that thing or feel that sensation or that emotion. Let yourself go there fully rather than trying to be spiritual or get away from what we don't want to be putting our attention on. Let's give it fully. Notice if, on some level, giving yourself permission to dive into these thoughts, feelings, or sensations actually creates a bit of spaciousness or freedom or movement inside. And of course, there's no right way to have an experience. And now, as if this experience of the mind, body, or emotions is like a part of you, thank this part of you for being. Thank this part of you for being expressed, for letting you know that it is in distress. And maybe even tell this part of you that there's nothing wrong with it, that it is not bad for thinking or feeling this way. Acknowledge that it's natural to be having an experience like this, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. And now that we've given this part of us some space to be, to exist, let us turn our attention to another place inside, this place deep within the center of our being that is infinite, stillness, basking in eternity. Feel yourself moving deeper inside, as if you can dive deeper than the thoughts, the emotions, and physical sensations. Go deeper. Remember the you who is unbounded. Remember the you who is profoundly connected to all of life. Remember the you that knows it is presence. When we touch this place inside, when we remember who we truly are, there is space for the rest of it all. Space for the pain, the doubt, the judgment, the fear, all of it. All exists in the presence of eternal being. All is experience. of the self. On your next inhalation, breathe slowly and deeply and imagine there is this bright sphere of light that moves from the base of the spine all the way up into the brain as you inhale. And then as you pause here, this light in the brain expands before you exhale, seeing, feeling this light move all the way back down the spine. We inhale this light up the spine into the brain, pause for just a moment as the light expands, and then we exhale fully and completely as this light moves back down the spine. We inhale, this beautiful sphere of light moves from the base of the spine all the way to the brain. We pause as the light expands in the brain, and we exhale as the light slowly moves back down the spine. And to help our minds anchor in this moment, as you inhale, hear the words inside, I am. And as you exhale, hear the word peace. And choose whatever language is most clear in your mind, whatever your native language is, or whatever language really resonates with you when you repeat this. I am peace. And you're welcome to let go of the visualization if you wish. I am, as you inhale, peace as you exhale. We'll continue this way for the next few moments. Feel yourself more and more in the presence of your own light, this unbounded presence of peace that is deep within you. Now let us take this cultivation of our peace in our own selves and our peace and our oneness, and see or feel that all of this light we are enlivening is coming together, all of our light coming together as one, creating this magnificent light brighter than 10,000 suns, this huge sphere of light, this light that is so bright it can encompass the entire planet. Let us start to intentionally wrap any part of the planet or any peoples in this light, completely holding them in this light. There may be people in your personal life who you wish to be enveloped in this light, to be soothed and nurtured by this light. There may be entire groups of people or places on the planet where you would like this light to move into every particle, every fiber. Let us consciously send this light, this healing, this peace, this love to all. This light that has the power to bring peace and harmony and understanding. This light that has the power to end violence. Feel this light. Remember this light and its power. And let us imagine victory. If there's someone in your life who you know is in such need of love and comfort and peace, imagine the look on their face when they are feeling this strength, this peacefulness inside, joy from within their being. Maybe it is an entire group of people on the planet, and we see them full of light, safe, full of peace, fed, nourished. Maybe there are people who have other things that are being done to them, and we see these people in harmony and peace, living a beautiful life. Let us hold this vision for all, this possibility for peace and healing on the planet for all. We are one. Let us create future memories with this light from our hearts as we see the world as we choose it to be in peace and harmony. If you can, place your hands on your own heart and offer yourself gratitude. Gratitude for your light, gratitude for all of the ways that you show up, gratitude for being on the planet at this time when your light is profoundly needed. Feel your body anchored, supported. Sense the air moving across your skin. Feel your breath. Consciously relax the body. Start to move slowly in any way that feels nourishing. Take as much time as you need. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly open the eyes. Yes, yes. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Michelle. Hola, Caroline. Hi, Dan. Hi, Evie. Hi, Liz. Ah, hi, Jen. Hi, Samantha. Oh, beautiful, Brad. Brad shares, can feel the heartbeat slowing as the day's events are released, stress melting away, sending it out. Thank you, love. And Rachel shared, thank you for your calming presence and inner beauty. It is so needed today. I'm so glad it's nourishing you, love. Oh, good friends, good. So here we are together in these bodies on this planet, in this time, in creation. If you're not on Insight Timer, I invite you to join us on Insight Timer. Oh, what would you like to share today, my loves? This is so interesting. So, hi, Suze. Howdy. So, I regularly get malas when I'm with my teacher. I find malas that I resonate with. This one's actually a gift from my mom. And many may be familiar with this teaching that if a mala breaks, that it means that whatever the energy was there is complete. So, for example, you would not fix this, which would actually be quite an easy fix, but rather you give it to the earth. You give the stones back to the earth. And I can't tell you how many of my malas break regularly with the work that I do. I just, I've surrendered to it at this point. One of my dear friends who kind of manages the sales of the mala through our community, because there's a whole boutique of things that you can purchase. She's like, girl, I don't know anybody else who has malas that break as much as you. And it's true. They just, they break. And it's not like everyone has that experience. So it's not like, oh, it's just the quality. Like it's very clearly that whatever energy is placed in that mala. I also have them blessed by Saimal when I get them. So whatever the energy was there, it's complete. So time to let go. Oh, beautiful, Rachel. I'm so glad to be together. So much love to you. Thank you. Okay. So what would you like to share today? Thank you. I'm so happy to see you. Feel free to say hi. Hi, Diane. So many of you came during our meditation. So nice to see your little bobbing pictures down there. Hmm. Hi, B. Hi, John. John shares, what sort of ritual do you do to offer the broken mala back to the earth? Oh, well, I don't always do a ritual. I probably used to. It was probably more of a sacred thing. And now I actually, admittedly so. You're supposed to like bury them in a place in the earth where it's appropriate and good for the earth. But my last few are like I have a little garden area. It's very small and it's like all of these potted tropical plants that I love outside. And so I've just kind of like tucked, I have like a piling up of my broken malas in that area of the plants. Hi, Florice. Hi, Kelly. Oh, wonderful. So glad you made it. Hi, Claire. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hmm. Hmm. Who's here for the first time today? So good just to be together, isn't it? To just be together. Oh, great, Claire. Oh, great. Wonderful. Warm welcome. Oh, great. Wonderful, B. I have a question for you. What is something inside of you that is asking for your loving attention? This is a question to just sit with for a moment, if you choose. What is something inside of you that is asking for your loving attention? And feel free to share it in the chat or just to be with it inside of yourself and maybe see if there's anything to take action around there. And in the meantime, I'm going to come back to your shares. Okay. Hi, Gary. So Gary asks, Selena, why is grief so inconsistent? Oh, what a great question. Well, I don't know for sure. I don't know if that's really something we can pin down to a science, and so much is far beyond our limited intellectual understanding of this incredible creation that we live inside of. This is what I would say, though, off the top of my head. Firstly, recognize that emotions are always coming and going. Yes, maybe one moment we feel joy, and the next moment we feel anger, and the next moment we feel depressed, and the next moment we feel fearful. Our emotions are always shifting and changing, coming and going, shifting and changing. And grief is an emotion. Grief is this feeling inside. And however these beings are hardwired, we don't always feel one thing. I think part of it is the mind also. You know, sometimes when we're going through the process of healing something and we're experiencing grief, you know, we go through this phase or this experience where we really feel the grief. We're really aware of, you know, this thing that has happened is causing this grief. And then something starts to shift in our lives. We become the grief feels a little further away. We become focused on something, or something starts to happen in our lives that wakes up feelings of gratitude or joy or pleasure. And then we remember that thing that we felt grief about. So I think a lot of it has to do with the relationship between the mind and the emotions. I think, I wonder, I should say, I wonder because emotion is also energy, it's biochemical reactions in the physical body and it's also energy. And because of that, I wonder if, you know, when there's Well, I guess I just answered my own question. I was going to say, I wonder if there can be grief inside that needs to be processed, even if we're not aware of it. And of course, the answer is yes, because many of us already know this experience in our lives of pushing down, repressing certain emotion, not thinking about the thing that's upsetting. But meanwhile, so much is happening. Dis-ease is happening in the body. Other behavioral expressions of repressed emotions start to come out in how we are with ourselves and others. The list goes on and on. So I think the main thing that I would say for the inconsistency, it's the relationship of the mind and the emotions. And maybe because I just kind of see this visual of like, um, it's like this pulsating life force. Almost like this flower that's emitting a fragrance, and it will emit this fragrance, which is, in this case, the grief, and then the fragrance settles, and it's not there for a while, but then there's a little more that comes, and then it just settles. So, I would say be aware of your thoughts. Be aware if the thoughts you're thinking are continuing to create an experience of grief or recreate an experience of grief, and there's no right or wrong way. Yes, it's all about self awareness, and we can be compassionate in our experiences. Feel free to share if that little tangent served you, Gary, or if you still have questions. Thank you for that. Okay, let's just see if anyone was commenting on that grief. Okay, so Evie, hi Evie, is sharing. What do you recommend for overwhelm? Oh, great question. So I feel like for me, overwhelm happens in a couple of different scenarios that are very consistent, like consistent, meaning it's usually one or the other to a certain degree. One is when I have so much in myself, like so much happening emotionally that I'm not addressing and moving the energy of. So, for example, oftentimes the word anxiety is actually a blanket term for there being a lot of emotional agitation. And I think overwhelm can be the same thing. So, to find ways to sit with everything that we're feeling in a healthy way, in a thoughtful way, so that that emotional energy can move. That's one thing that comes to mind. The other is the mind. If you think about it, it's kind of silly, but sometimes we get caught up feeling like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. There's so much to do, and there's just going to be so much to do. And it's like, yeah, hello, welcome to being human. Like if we actually looked at our lives and the breakdown of our time spent, there are things that we will need to do for the rest of our lives to have a certain quality of life. It's just the way that it is. So I can think about the next, whatever, how old am I? I can think about the next 50 to 60 years if I'm blessed to be on the planet this long in a healthy body. I can think about them and say, oh, for the next 50 or 60 years, I have to do X, Y, and Z every single day. And I can feel really overwhelmed and very unhappy and in despair. Or I can take it day by day, breath by breath, moment to moment. So the mind has much to do with the experience of overwhelm. Future thinking, a sense of urgency, a sense of not having enough time. So, something we can do aside from helping to regulate the emotions is to break down what you need to do in small steps. And also, sometimes the feeling of overwhelm is there because there's also a lack of feeling control. So, focus on what you can do right now. And then the next moment, focus on what you can do right now, rather than thinking about everything that you can't do or everything you don't have control over or everything that needs to get done, everything that needs to get completed. Just focus on one step at a time. How does that serve, Evie? Let me know. Okay, moving on. Rika is sharing. I love that. Cute picture, Rika. Nice hat. I've been pondering the themes of ego wanting, desires, and strong resistance for the past few days. Thank you for sharing. Ego wanting, desires, and strong resistance. Yeah, that's a whole bag of fun right there. Isn't it? There's also, all of these different topics you're looking at. Yeah, I hear that. feel free to share more if there's something more there you wanted to go into. Hi, Rhiannon. Beautiful, beautiful. B is sharing, coming back to my question of I invited everyone to just drop in and say, what is needing my attention? What is asking for my loving attention? And I invited, for anyone who wasn't here, I invited everyone who feels called to share. And it's nice because when we hear other people sharing or when we see other people's shares, it's a reminder of ways that we might be able to be more loving or pay better attention or closer attention to our needs. So B shares to shift my way of life from living in individualistic model and being self-reliant to living in community as a steward of the earth. Oh, that's so beautiful, B, and so important. Yeah, there really is. And this is, you know, my beloved teacher Saima often will say something along the lines of, the number one disease in humanity is selfishness. And it makes a lot of sense because when we look at the experience of the self, if we are to look at ourselves as one being, we are one consciousness, having all of these individuated experiences, but we are one. No matter how different you feel from someone on the planet, if you choose to consider this, you are one. You are the same essence. Personalities may be different, experiences different, bodies different, but the life force, the consciousness, is one consciousness having a multitude of experiences. And the ego is not a bad guy, by the way, although it sure feels like a bad guy. But the ego's prerogative is to keep us in the illusion of separateness. Because if the ego doesn't feel like an individual, then it dissolves into the one. Yes, and we have many spiritual concepts about this, right? Well, if the ego dissolves, then it's terrified of no longer existing. So you got what I was saying there. I didn't do the timeline there, but the ego is terrified of not existing. So it is doing everything in its power to keep us feeling like we are separate. I'm Selena, my needs, my wants. And although boundaries and honoring our needs and wants is very powerful, different conversation. We're speaking about the ego and how it makes us feel separate from everyone. And that separation is, of course, the root of any disharmony, discord that we see on the planet. Because if we remembered that we are one, there could be no war. If we remembered that we are one, we could no longer hurt each other. We are one. So, where were we in that? We talked about, I know Rika had the comment about ego. Oh, it was B's comment. Yes. So that's beautiful. I love it, B. Claire shares, I feel that my inner child is calling out to be nurtured. I want to be kinder to myself, seeing myself as the child I was, who is still within me, and give that child what she needs. Oh, that's beautiful, Claire. Thank you for sharing that. So precious. I feel like that's a good message for all of us. Yes. Ah, Anami, I've missed you, darling. Grateful we're here together now. Gary shared, that makes sense to me. By the way, you look very cheerful. Thank you, love. Great. Glad that it makes sense. Okay. Davy shares, oh, wait, hold on. Before that, there was, I think Evie responded. Well, Evie, I'll come back to your next. I'll just go in succession here. Davy shares, what's asking for attention is me is to be aware of the challenges involved with living a life that's free from addictive harm. I want to read that again. To be aware of the challenges involved with living a life that's free from addictive harm. Yeah, love. And what I'm hearing in that is I wonder if part of that is to be compassionate with the parts of you that are feeling challenged by whatever choices you're making, that feel the difficulty in that. Because that's deep, you know? There's so many different addictions. Yes. And we know that these addictive qualities Well, if anyone hasn't read or listened to or watched any of Gabor Mate's work, I can't recommend him enough. I just adore his soul and the work he does on the planet so much. And his whole field really started out looking at trauma and addiction and the connection there. Thanks for sharing that, Davy. Yeah, Davy shared, yes, compassionate with any parts of me who are struggling. Yeah, love. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that vulnerability there. Brad shares, I find that grief, oh, coming back to the grief conversation, I find that grief always circles around, but it seems to get less intense as I become more familiar with it and can handle it with more allowances for it to be there. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Mark shares, imagine having to brush your teeth for 50 more years. Oh my goodness. I plan on it. I plan on it, Mark. uh, Evie shares in response to our conversation. Thank you, Selena. It's like not being able to face what I have to do tomorrow, etc. Yeah, so that's resistance, right? And um, one, it might be this is what I found, love. So much of these kinds of emotional experiences, they're rooted in emotion. They're rooted in something inside of me that's asking for my loving attention. And when I really allow myself to feel fully, to feel what is in that pain, that discomfort, that resistance, when I sit with what's underneath that, I get freed up. So for me, it just time and time again comes back to letting whatever that energy is, that emotion is, be seen, be felt. Because so often when we have those kinds of thoughts, they're fixations trying to keep us from feeling the discomfort. And of course, there are different scenarios here, right? Like sometimes we might feel overwhelmed about something we have to do tomorrow. One scenario could be I have to give a presentation tomorrow and I'm really nervous about it. And so there's this buzzing or this overwhelmed feeling, right? And another possibility is just this feeling of dread, the dread that there's more to do tomorrow. Yes. And I'm sure there are even other expressions of this. These are just two that I'm personally very familiar with. And I feel again and again with anything in my life, it really comes back to being kind with myself and sitting with pain every time. Even just yesterday, I was taking a walk with my mama. My parents are here visiting. And I've been having like some days of just feeling a funk, just really having difficulty inside and having difficulty with feeling not so pleasant, right? There's always that loop. Not always, but many of us know that experience of we already don't feel very well. And then we're judging ourselves for not feeling better. I still get stuck in that sometimes against my better judgment. Anyway, she and I were walking and talking, and I shared a little bit. I said, "Oh, well, there's this thing happening in my life right now that's challenging. I haven't been thinking about it too much, but maybe one of the reasons I've been feeling the way that I have these last days is because this thing needs my loving attention. This thing needs me to sit with it and acknowledge it more and be with the pain of it rather than not." And even just acknowledging that there is this experience of pain inside, I started to feel like this little cracking open, this sense of, ah, thank you. Thank you for realizing that once again, there's nothing wrong with you because there's nothing wrong with any of us. We're just having these experiences that feel unpleasant and uncomfortable at times. And what my system was really needing was for me to take some time to be with the part of me that was in pain. So I'm going to come back to Evie's share. Let's see here. So Evie shares trying to cope with the grief of losing our son last May. Also trying to cope with chronic pain, chronic illness, and chronic pain. Oh, Evie. For anyone who wants, let's just send all of our love to Evie right now. So much love and compassion to you. Love you, sweetheart. Evie, um, there's so much in that. Yes, there's so many layers. And every one of the things that you named is something that might make one feel overwhelmed or have difficulty looking forward to the next day. And I really would just come back to really everything that I've been sharing. How can you lovingly, compassionately be with these different parts of yourself? Sometimes we can't change circumstances, right? Sometimes we can't fully change what's happening in our bodies. So, how can we practice meeting ourselves with profound compassion and love and just keep showing up in that way again and again and again? Just continue to show up each time we come into a moment of conscious relating to ourselves to practice being kind, to practice being loving, and just holding ourselves in that because sometimes that's all we can do, right? Sometimes that's all we can do. I love you. Thank you so much for letting us sit with you and be with you in everything you're experiencing. And I'm curious if you feel like sharing what you're able to see by what I'm speaking to for yourself. What do you see might be possible, or what do you see is here for you and what I'm saying? And of course, only if you feel like sharing. Thank you, Evie. Ah, thank you, everyone. So beautiful to be together. Yes, there's so much compassion and vulnerability and tenderness in our community. And I am so grateful for you, for us. Oh, great. I'm coming back through your comments now and seeing the love for our dear Gabor Mate. Oh, hi, Carrie. Grateful you're here. Hmm. Rika shares, I seem to keep falling asleep again spiritually in intervals, feeling separated, going for selfish wants and desires, and forgetting about my true nature. It could often be months or even years in that stage. Whoops. I continue to do my practices, but it seems to come from a different, tense, lacking place. I feel tired of this weird spiritual narcolepsy. Do you have any suggestions? Oh, I feel you so deeply. um, my suggestion is to be compassionate with yourself and stay true to the path. Take a breath, acknowledge yourself, and stay true to the path. I've gone through so many cycles of what you're sharing. Even now, I have like a version of it that I go through now. My consciousness is so different now. And I'm so grateful for it because, naturally, when it comes to growth, we don't often see how much we've grown. Maybe other people can tell how much we've grown, but we're inside of the growth. So we don't always experience it. I do know that in a very different state now than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, probably even a couple of years ago. And there have been so many times when I felt so disconnected from myself and felt so attached to sensory experiences, hooked in the drama and toxicity of certain relationships. So many times that I felt just not totally tuned in. Even in recent years, where I've felt disconnected from myself. Many of you know I've been meditating regularly since I was 15. I've been studying with my beloved spiritual teacher, my guru Saima, for over 22 years. I've been very deep in the teachings of service and love and self mastery, and had a very dedicated sadhana spiritual practice, daily spiritual practice for so many years, decades now. And yet there's still times where I felt disconnected. And I don't know, I guess in this moment, the way that I'm kind of seeing it is a very compassionate lens. I'm so grateful for all the compassion that I've cultivated and so grateful for my beloved Sai Ma and all the ways that Ma has really taught me to be compassionate because it is just food for the soul. It's a breath of fresh air. And what I'm seeing right now is it's like a baby, a baby who's learning to walk, and the baby just kind of falls over, right? And then they get up again and they're kind of like doing this thing and then they fall over. I feel like our spiritual awakening is sometimes like this. We fall over again and again and again. In this case, we forget the self. We forget our sadhana. Our sadhana is dry. Our meditations are disconnected. We feel like we're just in the darkness of emotion and longing and all of these things over and over and over again. And then we get up and we have this moment of expansion and remembrance, and then boom, we're back in the Maya, the illusion, the separateness, the illusion of separateness. So that's what I would say. I would invite that it is the journey for many of us in our spiritual awakening to forget and remember and forget and remember and forget and remember. And I this keeps coming up in my awareness, so I think there's a reason to share it. And I know we just have a couple minutes and then we'll complete. What's coming up in my awareness is the the first time I remember having an experience of feeling disconnected from my heart. I've always been a very loving person. Probably some of it was rooted in people pleasing, but it's just been my nature. Like I popped out of the womb, like ready to love the whole planet, giving away my mom's like precious crystals that she had like tucked away in her china cabinet. I'd be like, "Oh, you want this thing that my mom has?" If any of you, both of my parents, they're incredible. They're both here on Insight Timer. I know many of you attend their live sessions, Sandy Magrum, Jonas Magrum. So the next time one of you is on a live with Sandy, I invite you to have her tell you the stories about about me giving away her precious items. So where was I going with that? What am I talking about? I'm speaking about the bigness of my heart. Okay. So I was in my early 20s. And at that point, I had met Saima when I was 18. So at that point, I'd been really kind of more deeply involved in the work of self mastery and awakening for maybe like, let's say, 4 years, 3 to 5 years. And I'm a big feeler, deep feeler, very empathetic. And I remember I felt like I just couldn't feel my heart. And it threw me off. I felt like it was wrong and painful, and I felt, like, so disconnected and wondering what was going on and why can't I feel my heart? And it was very it was very, I don't know what the word is, disconcerting, I'm not really sure, but it was very unpleasant and kind of scary and didn't feel good because I was so attached to feeling good. And what I became aware of at some point, maybe not till years later, that was the first time that I experienced moving away from my emotions being my touchstone for knowing myself. Because what we could say on some level is that how I was experiencing my heart was actually through emotion. Yes, the huge love that I am was there, the huge love that you are is always there. But in that experience, I was going from emotional love to oneness, consciousness love, which is a different experience. If I'm If I know myself as love through emotional love, it changes, it comes and goes, turns off and on. If I know myself as oneness consciousness, love is all that exists. It's an ocean, it's unbounded. So I felt someone here, maybe some of us, needed to hear this story today, that we can look at this distinction between emotional love and the love that is source love, self love, however you want to call it, the love of life, the love of creation. And if we know ourselves through emotional love, it has a lot to do with attachment, desire, the coming and goings of things. So if you go through a period of feeling disconnected from your heart, maybe there's something else there for you. Maybe you're allowing yourself to go deeper into pain so that you can liberate yourself. Pain is liberation ultimately. It can be. I'm not saying it has to be. But many of us in this path consciously know that pain may be the greatest catalyst in our awakening. So it could be that. It could also be that you're expanding, you're evolving and maturing out of knowing yourself through emotional love to knowing yourself as something even bigger than the individual self. So that was my last food for thought on that. I see a couple of comments that I'll get to, and then we'll close up our session. Ooh, Mario asks, what does living in alignment mean for you? That is such a very good question. The short answer is, uh, I'm like, is it Mary Jo? I said Marijo, but it could be either. I'm guessing Marijo. You can let me know. For me, what I've learned living in alignment means, you could say on one level, living in alignment with soul, living in alignment with my higher consciousness rather than the human wants and needs and desires. And there's nothing wrong with the humanness or desires. It's all part of the experience. We don't need to wrong any of it. We do that and we cut off our arm. We don't want to do that. Yes. So it's living with this higher self leading the way. And how I've learned to do that, because it was not the way I lived my life, is by listening to my intuition and honoring that, learning to have respect for myself in all situations, learning to honor myself, learning to live with dignity, learning to live in alignment with my highest well being rather than always looking for something to bring me pleasure or fulfillment, even if it wasn't totally the best thing for me, right? How many of us have ever chosen a relationship that we knew wasn't the best thing? How many of us have eaten something that we knew wasn't going to serve us in that moment? We all have done things and maybe still do things that we feel it. There's like a friction inside, this rubbing the wrong way, like, ugh, that we know something isn't right for us. Not right because there's good or bad, but right because it's not what we need. It's not the best thing for us in that moment. So to listen, do I feel contraction and friction, or do I feel freedom? Do I feel more full? Do I feel more empowered? Great question. Thank you. Okay, we're almost complete here. Ah, oh my goodness, my friends, you have so many shares. So I'm just going to hop through and just grab a couple of them. Uh, Eliyahu is sharing, haha, love that resonates. Hello. Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Great to have you here with us. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's see here. I'm seeing your kind shares with each other and your love, and I love it. Rika sharing goosebumps when you said pain is liberation. I often try to escape pain, not seeing that it's the biggest blessing. So then I'm probably stalling the process by running from the gateway to liberation. Thank you. And I know many of us don't wanna hear that. We're like, "How could you possibly say that pain is liberation, Selena?" And I'm not here to say I'm never here to say there's one way. You think in this creation, there's one of anything, there's one way? My goodness, we live in a multidimensional kaleidoscope of experience, of consciousness. Who knows? I do truly believe, though, not as a spiritual concept, but as a lived experience, that pain has been the greatest catalyst to my awakening. It has. Yeah, Dan is chiming in on that one too. And it's the hardest. Oh my goodness. Even though I know it, even though I've been doing this work very dedicated for many years, many, many, many years, I still resist pain. I still find myself resisting pain. And I have so much more self awareness. So it's a little easier to lean that direction. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yvonne shared the fantastic quote, "No mud, no lotus." I love that. Oh, great. And is it Marijo or is it Mary Jo? Oh, maybe it's both. Depends on where you are. I'm guessing Marijo. Oh, Mary Jo. Mary Jo? I don't remember which one I said first. All right, my friends. I'm so grateful to be together. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Happy to meet you. Enchanté. You know that means Quebecois, yeah? You must be Quebecois. All right, my friends. We Yes, I have many friends who are, Quebecois, so thank you all. Thank you for your presence, your time, your shares, your insights. What a blessing to be together always, always, always. We will be together again. Let's see, I think I've finally gotten my schedule correct. We will be together again, I believe, same time, same place next week. Wednesday, February 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is when we will be back together for another session like this as community. Thank you, everyone. Yes, 212 beautiful souls, and who knows how many more who watch the replay. Such a gift. I don't usually mention the group that we have here on the app, Love Heals All, just because there hasn't been much happening there for some time, but everyone's welcome to join. It is a very sweet space. There used to be ongoing conversations there, and we would support each other. Now it seems more like a place where people occasionally share content that they've enjoyed from other teachers, or it's a place where I will post if something's happened with a live. Like, for example, we had those couple of lives where there was a mishap in my scheduling. So I'll make announcements there. So if you want to join the Love Heals All group, you're welcome. I also post the daily love notes on Instagram. And Insight Timer and I are actually going to be doing a little bit of collaborating with Instagram soon. So that's fun. If you're not already following Instagram, sorry, Insight Timer there, check it out. There's a lot of uplifting, inspiring shorts and memes, things like that to just get us through the day. Okay. I think that's all. Thank you for your time, your love. Thank you for your donations. I love you. Oh, and I have a few new tracks coming out. A couple of them are free, a couple of them are through the subscription, and you'll be able to find those maybe within the next week. I'm not sure how much of a backlog they have in the uploading process, but they are coming your way soon. Thank you. I love you. Yeah.